right, guys, today we are starting chapter 3. So I'm going to make my big title page here. And chapter 3 is titled Equations with Two Variables. Okay, one more thing, the equation that we're going to use a lot is y equals mx plus b. So I want that to already be in your mind just a little bit before we do the actual lesson. Okay, so that is your title page, so dog-ear that so you can find chapter 3 easy in your notes. Okay, so we are doing 3.1, and it is all about slope. Whenever you hear the word slope, some people think of hills, skiing, the slope of a roof, if it's a high pitch or low pitch, the slope of the roof. There's a whole bunch of different things for slope. The slope really is just lines, how slanted the line is. So I want you to pause this video and I want you to go watch the video on your Google Classroom that's called Slope Dude. Okay, so pause this and go watch that. Okay, so hopefully you actually did watch Slope Dude. And there are different types of slope. So the first type of slope that they talked about is if it's going up the hill, he's saying puff plus positive. So the line slanted that way, it's going to be positive. If the line slanted down like that, it's going to be a negative. Nice negative. If the line is just going straight horizontally, it's going to be 0. That is 0 fun. If it goes straight down like that, it's undefined. Okay, so this is an easy way to remember the different types of slope. This is Slope Dude. Then there's another way that I learned it, and that's with Slope Man. So his eyes are a plus sign and a minus sign. His eyebrows show you what the line would look like if it was a positive slope or a negative slope. His nose is just a line straight down. We call that undefined, so we put a U underneath it for his nose. And his mouth is pretty straight, and that is a 0. Those are dimples. So that is Slope Man. A lot of people, when we're doing these lessons for this chapter, they'll draw one of these at the top of their paper, just to remind them what negative and positive slopes look like, and so they don't get 0 and undefined flip-flopped. Okay, slope. That is what we're talking about. We have so many different words for slope. We learned a lot of these last year, so I'm just going to write a whole bunch down. The first one that we learned last year is constant rate of change. Last year we called that the crux. That's also slope. Unit rate, also slope. Constant variation, slope. And then the last one that we did was rate of change. If you see any of these four versions, they all mean slope. What is the slope? Okay. So now, those of you at home do not have this, but this is our little handout. These are what we're going to be practicing on today. So I want you to go through 1 through 6 and tell me if these slopes are positive or negative. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in on here one at a time so you can go through positive or negative. The line's up here. It's kind of hard to see. And then there's 5 and 6. Okay, so if that wasn't enough time, go back through and pause it and actually write down your answers. Number 1 is a negative slope. Number 2 is also negative. Number 3 is not negative or positive because it is just 0. 0 fun. Number 4 is a negative slope. Number 5 is a positive slope because it's going up and to the right. And number 6 is also a negative slope. Okay, so back to notes. We actually have a number for slope. It's not just positive or negative. You can actually put numbers to this. So, slope is also the change in y's divided by the change in x's. Or, if we're doing y's on a graph go up and down. So we call that rise over change in x's. X's go this way, run. You'll see that fraction a lot. I always tell people if you had to go to the bathroom right now, what would you have to do first? You'd have to rise. You'd have to get up out of your seat. Then you could go run to the bathroom. And then another way we say that is up and over. We count up first and then we go over, either left or right, depending on if it's negative or positive. So all of these are also ways we can talk about slope. So back to our graphs here. I'm going to do the first one with you. You have to find points on your graph. Okay, I always look at this line right here, see if there's any points. There's definitely a point right here because that's where it crosses perfectly. And then really, it crosses here, 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 everywhere. Okay, I'm going to put my point right here. You could have put it down here somewhere or up here a little bit more, wherever you want to go. I always start with my lowest point, and then I say, how far up do I have to go until I get to this point? Well, I go up 1, 2, 3. Now how far over? 1, 2, 3. So remember my slope is negative. I went up 3 and then over 3. Okay, so negative 3 over 3 is a negative 1. You simplify it if you can. Okay, let's find our points on this one. I think it crosses right here at 4. And then it's close there, but it definitely crosses right there. So now I'm going to start at my lowest point and I'm going to count up. 9. So remember, it's negative 9 over 1. So that just simplifies to be negative 9. Okay, this one's just 0. I don't have to do anything to that because my slope is just 0. Number 4, find our points. There's a point right there at negative 3. There's a point right there. Okay, count how far up. Well, we just went up 1, so it's going to be negative 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I simplify that? No, so it just stays negative 1/4. Okay, try 5 and 6 by yourself. Pause this, try it by yourself. Those of you that don't have the graphs at home, I know this is probably difficult. I'm sorry. Okay, so on 5, I would have put a point right there and probably a point right there. No matter where you put your points, as long as they were actually points, you should have got the same thing. So up 1 over 3. So 1/3. I can put my plus sign in front of it, but just like normal numbers, we don't usually put a plus sign if they're our answer. Just a normal 1/3. And then this one, I'd put a point there, a point here. So this one's negative 1. Because it's really negative 1 over 1, which simplifies to be negative 1. All right, so that is counting slope. One more thing that I want to talk to you about. Try to do this on the bottom here. Simplifying fractions. Okay, whenever I tell you to simplify, let's talk about these three. Simplify does not mean turn into a mixed number. It just means simplify. We have to keep our fractions in improper fractions from now on. Because if we turn them into a mixed number, we no longer know how far up, how far over. Okay, so we have to keep them in improper. So this one, if I say simplify this, well, negative 8 divided by 4 is a negative 2. So that would be my answer for that one. If you get this whenever you count, always simplify to get this as your answer. Let's say I counted and I got 10 over 4. Well, I can simplify this because 2 goes into both of them. And that's my simplified answer. Not 2 and 1/2, just 5 over 2, because that means I went up 5 over 2. Simplify this. I can't. So that's my answer. Okay, last time, not turning these to mixed numbers. I'm keeping them improper, just making sure I write them as simple as possible. All right, that is it for today.